perfect then. We're all happy to receive this report. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Item 14. Oh, yeah, go on.
What about the action points that are mentioned going forward? How are they going to be dealt with?
So, if we're receiving the report, the action points, I think that I'll propose from the chair that essentially these are dealt with by the office team. Would that be fair to say, Gemma?
We can look into them and then come back to
Yeah.
council with more information on the recommendations. We could do that if that's the way the council want to go.
Yeah, so propose in seconds.
So who was it proposed second today?
I proposed Susie seconded. So in terms of the actions then, votes in favour of, that's the way we move forward then in terms of who that. Full house? Yeah, full house again. Thank you very much. More Scotsons, of course. I was just going to receive the report. 14, to approve a request supported by the clerk to allow residents to join the staff team from the 8th of July, 8th to 12th of July 2024 as part of their Schools Work Experience Placement Programme, subject to insurance and risk assessment requirement review. First of all, any comments on that? I think that's fine. No.
You need something small to fit in the office. You need something small to fit in the office.
Have to do some clever work from home that
Can I just get a proposal and seconder to approve that? So Nathan and Andy proposal and seconded. Votes in favour, please. Full house. Thank you. Item 15, to receive correspondence from a resident regarding the pest control at Brackenhill allotments. So we've got the letter as part of the pact. We've already had some comment on this from John regarding the pest control already. I'll just bring in other councillors if they wish to comment at this. Susie, yeah, and then I'll bring Sarah in.
There was quite a long discussion on it. We came up with a variety of ideas. I think it's great that the allotment holders have already asked, the allotment committee have already asked allotment holders if they can really get diligent on their housekeeping in their reducing the nesting sites on the allotments. And we also discussed the possibility of getting rattles in with dogs, which, as John said, would need a bit of a time break from the point of view of poison around. But then also there was the possibility of the other exterminator in Newcastle or Durham or somewhere that is excellent and has been used by the local waste management site. So there are a number of ideas coming up, and it isn't just to let it go at all, but to try and find a sort of toolbox of tools that will work against the rats increasing. If not getting them completely, hopefully, well, not completely.
Yeah, thank you, Susie. I was going to bring in Sarah next, and then I'll bring in Amanda and John.
Yeah, just looking at the second sentence in this this email, and then the final sentence, I think that it is a serious problem, and virus disease leptospirosis is clearly, leptospirosis is a serious illness, serious infection. But I think the resident has misunderstood. I think the resident has taken the wording on the sheet handed out, where she's putting it, where, well, I'm saying she, I don't know who it is, so where they, I've put in no quotation marks, with immediate effect, pest control services are no longer provided at Bracken allotments. I think the residents taken that as a kind of a resolution for us to say we're not going to do it, rather than a description of the situation that arose, because our pest controller at that time withdrew their services. So I think there's a confusion there about the meaning of that, and also, and that's sort of repeated in the last sentence, where the resident says, I'm asking you to re-examine your decision to no longer provide pest control services. Well, we haven't decided to no longer provide. It was forced upon us because the person who was doing it withdrew their services. So I think, you know, if that could be, as well as the other stuff we're doing, if that mistake could be, misunderstanding could be communicated.
I think as part of the allotments committee minutes, it was, I know that it was, when we had the discussion, it was said that we need to get this communicated out, that we are still looking at options, and it's because of this reason.
But also, Sheffield, I mean, it wasn't our decision, we didn't take a decision.
Yes.
I think that's the important point to communicate. We didn't actively take a decision not to provide. It was forced upon us because our provider withdrew their services.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I agree with that. Amanda and then John.
That's fine, I just think there's some clarity in terms of, I didn't know we had withdrawn that offer, and so we haven't, so that's fine.
Okay, John.
Just to say that I'm, you know, obviously aware of what's happened on the allotments. I think the particular plot was neglected for a number of years. It was really well overgrown. It's an unusual situation that somebody had to go in with machinery and things like that to do it, and that's where the problem's been. The rats have gravitated towards a plot that's not been used for, well, at least 2 years, I think, and really in bad condition. So hopefully that situation won't occur again. The guy who withdrew his services, sadly, withdrew his services because of rude comments and disrespectful comments from one or two members of the allotment group. And he just said, it's not worth, you know, I'm doing my best and I'm just getting so many negative comments. As we all know, you get negative comments from certain quarters, whatever you do. And I just think he took offence at that. So I'm not going to do it anymore. But like we said, like Susie said, there was a long discussion on it. And if there's a team doing the waste disposal units that are effective, then we'll look into that and see what the costings are and things like that.
Yeah, thank you everyone for feedback.
I'm going to reply directly to this resident, just to correct that, but also reassure them that statutory now. In case they don't.
Will we or have we?
I believe it's part of it, because this was also raised at the allotment subcommittee as well. It's part of that as well. My understanding is that Kyla's going to be sending that response because she looks after.
Yeah, this
it's this one since. Sorry.
Just as long as you're not relying on them taking the time to look at the minutes, this was the best one in the world.
Sorry, yeah.
No,
there was one. Sorry, yes, there was one very similar to it in the actual. So I guess we all approve to have a response sent, based on quite a lot of the discussion we've already said. Again, to the allotment subcommittee, which that have been looking into this and dealing with this. We thank you for the time that they're spending on that. I'm quite new to the committee, but because of work, I'm not at as many meetings as like, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you to everyone else for that. Are we okay? Yeah.
Response with what we've just discussed.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Item 15 to receive. So I'm going over all ground now. Okay, item 16. So motions requested by councillors. So I'll come to Andy at the start of each one and we'll have a discussion.
Two of them are suited.
Sorry, two of them are suited. Sorry. You in the middle.
Can I declare an interest in the items regarding Green Lane? I own land on Green Lane.
Yeah, it's that 16.4, isn't it?
Point 3, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I'm fine.
And 16.3 on 4, yeah. Okay, that's fine. And that's just because you won't land on there, it's not like... Yeah. Personally, I think just because you won't land on there, I personally think you can still have a vote on that. What do other councillors think, just to double check? So...
Well, I would propose that you still, you improve it to a vote.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he's got an interest, he's declared it, but the vote still, he can still have his vote, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, okay.
Does anybody else want to declare an interest in it?
No, I don't.
Well, the land that Green Lane forms is part of an Enclosure Act of 1772, under the Local Authority Act of 1896. The Parish Council have to have a couple of members on the Manor Trust. The Manor Trust is part of Ackworth United Charities. And Green Lane is sort of not really the correct name for it because it's actually a private carriage and drift road, which basically means it can be used for the private carriage of goods by owners of land near or adjoining. And a drift road means you can drive your cattle along it. So there are really restrictions on that, and although 2 roads have been put across it, the first road that was put across it was just done by the developers who, as I understand it, had to take out the £2 million indemnity to cross the lane if the owners should turn up. However, under that law, the insurance company would want to pay out on something that was done illegally. The second crossing was being done by what is called a medium field valle, which means a presumption of ownership to the centre of the road. But when you look at all the documents to it, that doesn't add up. The problem is, at some point or other, over the last few years, the Enclosure Act deeds, which were kept in the village, were handed over to the History Centre at Wakefield, together with the map which deals with it. That makes it a bit harder for people to find things out, especially the Manor Trust. So it's a very difficult subject, and it's one that's cost me a great deal of money over the last few years.
Can I just bring us back to the order of the motion? So I wish to tackle 16.1, which is about the Mason's Arms and supporting the land, supporting the music.
Just saying that if it is Manor Trust, then potentially Susie has trustees of Ackworth United Charities, and therefore have an interest in this.
Well, we can declare, put that down as having an interest there, just to make sure that.
It takes a moment vote on it. So, Councillor S. Parker declared interest. Voting rights approved. Okay, so take a vote. I think that everyone's approving the voting rights for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so first of all, taking a vote on Councillor Parker being able to vote on 16.3 and 4. Can I just have a show of hands? So, unanimous, and Mr. Councillor Parker's not.
Yeah.
I'm guessing not voting on that particular event. And I believe both councillor Sherritts are just declaring an interest, just being bodies of Ackworth United Charity, yeah, on the outside bodies, yeah.
You can do the same again, just
And a show of hands that they can still have voting rights on that.
you can vote if you want to vote for yourself.
You can vote for yourself, yeah, full house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So we're all voting still, aren't we? Something slow. So 60.1 then. So I'll come to Andy Shire, and this is about the live music at the Masons.
That's right. I think you just a very quick one there. I saw about it through various things on Facebook because of a petition that the Masons' Arms have been issued with a noise abatement notice. Without knowing the details specifically, the implication is that there is one neighbour close to it who have moved in relatively recently and are objecting to the Masons' Arms doing something that they've always done. And there's nearly 3,000 residents of the village, including a lot of other neighbours who apparently don't even go in there, but are quite happy with it. We've signed a petition to say we think we should be allowed to carry on with the music, so I just thought it would be a good thing if the parish council could add our voice to that support of a very well established venue in the village, really, that the vast majority of people, apart from one, seem to be happy with. So that was my proposal, basically, that if we contact the Environmental Health Department at Wakefield in relation to it, just to express our support for the Masons' Arms continuing to provide live music.
So, thank you for that. And yeah, I think it's pretty explaining as to what the John,
I'm not sure about. I mean, I signed the petition, and I think we also it's great that we have live music in a pub in the village, and I sympathise with the person who lives next door. If they're moving, not knowing that happens, then it happens. But I just think for the council as individuals, I think most councils would be in favour of that. But I think the parish council to take a stance on it, to say that we've got a say in it, or right into the Department of the Environment. I think it's an issue between the Masons' Arms and Wakefield Council and the police, whether they get a licence or not. And I don't think we, as a parish council, who represent everybody in the parish, should take a stand on it as a parish council. As individuals, yes, but as a parish council, I don't think so.
Yeah, thank you for that. Are there any other comments on this particular motion? No? Okay, what I'll do, because obviously Nathan's just nipped the loop, if we're okay just holding on just a few minutes until he returns, and then we can have everyone here voting on it, if that's okay. And also I might wish to comment on it, just while he's not.
It is okay, I can see why it's quite a tricky one, because obviously I signed a petition as well. I'm in favour of it.
I've signed a petition as well.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those of you sort of balancing like personal feeling against what an authority should do, because equally if that resident wrote into it, complaining about the notice, they wrote into the parish that we can't just say, well, we're in favour of it. I don't think that would be a threat. So I understand a lot of the balance on this one. I'll bring Sharon in first.
But you have to have so many complaints before something's... So is it just one
Sarah?
We had a similar issue, didn't we? I mean, not exactly the same, but it was about the cricket club.
The cricket
club and licence there, wasn't there? And I think my views at that time were, which everything is done, were similar to John's, which is that we represent everybody in the village. So while as individuals we might have a view, it's not necessarily the business of the parish council to get involved, really. I think the same. I think that it was the same on the other one.
Just come back to that. I understand that point, but I think the big difference is the cricket club have done 2 or 3 events a year in the past, and they've got the licence to be able to do it 5 or 6 days a week. The Masons' Arms for a very long time have done it, and now they've been told they maybe can't. So I think it's kind of the reverse way round. If you like, that residents near a cricket club who suddenly get a music venue, by a cricket ground they get a music venue, as opposed to somebody moving in next to a pub that has traditionally done music. I think quite different scenarios, really.
Do we know how the campaign's going?
I gather it is going to be heard more officially it's been raised to another level.
Right.
But last time before I put the motion, this proposal in, I went in, but the landlady couldn't wait. So I learned from my son, but he didn't know absolutely.
I'm just going to bring John in again.
Just to re-say what I said before, I think we've got all sorts of policies and procedures as a parish council, and so for example, if there's a dangerous tree, we know what the criteria is for chopping a tree down or not chopping it down. Similarly for planning issues, we have to have concrete reasons as a parish council to oppose planning. We can't just say we don't like it, we don't like the look of it. It has to be highways, it has to be all sorts of reasons. We've set these processes out so that we can be seen to be equal-handed on what we do, and as Sarah said, we represent everybody in Ackworth. And I fully agree with the campaign, I fully agree with music at the Masons and all the rest of it. Good luck to them, but I just think I'm not saying it's not legal for us to do it, I just think we're treading on dangerous ground if we start taking things like this as a parish council, sort of idea that we can write to the environment department and stop anything or help to stop anything. We are a voice of all the people in the village, and I just think we, as individuals, certainly do it, but I certainly won't support writing to the environment department or the police.
And like on planning as well, when the parish council just put in it, we only count one, so it's the same as any resident as well. Anyway, just reiterate that.
So personally, I'm abstaining. So I accept John's point actually that it sets a precedent, but then also I can't vote against the proposal having signed the petition. So yeah,
It's tricky.
well,
Okay, well, on that, I'll move to a vote. I'll just take proposal and second first for the proposal.